Hello, welcome to Your OK Academy. Today we're going to talk about moving out of scarcity, survival, and contraction and into connection, abundance, expansion. Get your notebooks out, grab your pen. I want you to take notes. Put in the comments the quotes that really land for you. Be in your body as you're here with me. We always talk about the mind creating everything. The mind is great, and it will create. It creates based on how your body is wired, right? And so if your body is contracted, if you're frenetic, if you're in fight or flight, if you're in shutdown mode, your mind is going to be representative of that. And here's the thing, you consciously might want to argue with me right now, but you have to look at what's unconscious for you. Because the truth is, the world perceives your unconscious. I heard this thing from a neuroscientist once, and he said, people pick up what you unconsciously believe about yourself. They pick it up in the empathic receptors of their brain. So this is literal science for those of you who like to question the magical. They pick it up in the empathic receptors of their brain, and they treat you that way. So it doesn't matter what you consciously think, it's what you unconsciously believe and feel. And that starts in your body. So I want you to connect to your body as you're working with me. So just take a minute to breathe. From the crown of your head to your third eye, to your throat and the back of your neck, to your chest and your heart and your solar plexus and your lower abdomen and the base of your spine. Running through all 7 chakras, connecting to your root so you're grounded and embodied in this work with me. I'm Your OK, spiritual teacher, leadership mentor, nervous system genius, clinically trained therapist, and all-around energetic sorceress, which just means I help you master energetics for those of you who struggle again with the magical. I just dove right in. I get so excited. I just want to go in. So that's who I am. Let's get into it, shall we? We are wired for survival, contraction, and fear. Everyone on the planet is. It is in our nervous system to be wired for protection, for survival. The negative mind is much stronger than the positive mind, because if you're not hypervigilant, aware, conscious, you could die. So this goes back to ancient times when we would step out of our cave and there was potentially a lion or a dinosaur or a dragon, whatever you want to believe was there that was going to kill you. It was there. And now we live in a time when we are not under threat physically, most of us. If you're watching this video, probably you're not. If you are, I am just here with you. So we're not really usually under that threat. We go into that fight or flight if someone accidentally bumps into us on the sidewalk, if someone looks at us the wrong way, if we perceive someone said something to us and we take it personally, we act as though we're getting killed by a lion. If we have to go to the grocery store, if the phone rings, if we get a text message, it's like our body goes into this hyper overdrive of like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. And it literally feels that way. And so much of this is unconscious. Like we don't actually even always know what's happening inside of us. And so becoming conscious asks us to create internal safety in your nervous system. Your nervous system creates your life, and subtle energy creates your life. And the subtle energetics in your nervous system are coded in your nervous system, and that creates your life. And so most of us, if not all of us, are wired for survival, contraction, and fear. And you have to do the healing to feel safe in your nervous system so that you can expand, spiritually transform, and master energetics, which is what your OK Academy is. Healing, expanding, spiritually transforming, and mastering energetics. It all comes back to how safe you feel in your body, because that is what will show you what you can receive, what you can hold, the levels of personal power you have to be in the unknown. So let's talk about the unknown for a minute. When most people are in the unknown, Most people don't make changes because the unknown feels so scary because your nervous system perceives you're going to die. Then you justify and you make all these excuses around why you stay in the marriage you don't want to be in. You stay at the job you don't want to be at. You don't start the business you want to start. You don't open your heart to the person who you know you're in love with, but you're terrified. What if they leave you one day? What if you get rejected? What if it doesn't work out, right? And so you contract and you stay in this stuck state, and then you numb with all these addictive behaviors. You binge TV, you scroll on your phone, you scroll on dating apps, you are addicted to sex, you're addicted to eating, shopping. You could be addicted to your spiritual practices. So many people are addicted to their spiritual practices. And this is all survival. And most of the time, we are anesthetizing emotions, right? Shame, guilt, fear, anger. We don't have a relationship with our emotions. That's a whole other video. And so when we're working with moving out of survival, moving out of contraction, moving into connection and expansion, we have to first process the trauma that needs to be processed. We have to also become aware of the ways that we are living in survival. Because sometimes it's not like this big trauma. It's most of the time not. It's just a conditioned state of being. I grew up off the grid, so I have so much less conditioning than most people do. And it still is there because I'm a human living on this planet, but I have so much less conditioning, and I'm designed to help you decondition and to connect to a state of abundance. I literally feel like I was birthed into this world living in a state of abundance, and then I grew up in nature, in the redwood trees, in the ocean, swimming in the rivers. Like, it's making me teary. I have this ability to just be myself, and I can teach you to do that as well. My clients will all tell you, I guide you back to you. I guide you home to you. And part of that is releasing the survival paradigm that you're living in. So let's take a look at the maps of consciousness. I'm just going to share my screen. Okay. So you see here the survival paradigm. And then you go into the reason and integrity, and then you go to the spiritual paradigm. Survival paradigm is shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear. Desire is a tricky one because I believe that desire can have an addictive charge to it, but it also we're meant to have desires. It can also be fueled by joy, by expansion, by excitement, by like exhilaration and that effervescent feeling in your cells. So I would move desire out of there. Desire is down there if it comes with an addictive charge, if it comes with attachment and craving. And so when we're living in the survival paradigm, which if you sit with yourself for a minute, you can probably think about how you and most people in your life are in this survival paradigm, even if it's sneaky and subtle. And what we do when we know a lot of things, like we think we shouldn't be living that way, is we tend to bypass. And it doesn't mean it doesn't still live in your unconscious or that it's not subtly there. One of my zones of genius is helping you move through subtle, sneaky, unconscious states of being and energy to get you back to connection and to truth. And truth just sounds different. It just sounds different. And so we're living in this world where everybody is taking things personally, reactive, defensive, getting activated by their triggers, getting triggered all the time, defending against things. It is a struggle for most people to connect into their bodies and to get conscious of what they actually feel, to then process that emotion through, to come back to what I always say people come back to neutrality, right? Because when you come to neutrality, you can start expanding into the higher level emotions. And when we're living in this survival paradigm, and we aren't conscious to how we're living in the survival paradigm, you will perpetuate narratives, stories, beliefs, and perceptions that are in the survival paradigm. And then here's the thing about perception. You always want to be right, whether you're conscious of that or not. If you are right, you feel validated. When you feel validated, you feel safe. Also, when you feel validated, you avoid shame. So let's say you have this story about your friend, like, oh, my friend always does this. They always forget my birthday. We're going to use something really silly. They always forget my birthday. So if on one time they don't forget your birthday, you almost feel guilty or ashamed that you created this story about them, and then you almost want them to have done it because it feels so threatening to your body to be wrong. You might be telling me I'm full of shit right now. You might be like, no, Yarrow, I would want that. Sure. Keep telling yourself that. Let's use another example, which one I've seen a million times. Women who control their husbands or their partners or their boyfriends, and they're like, oh, you have to do it this way, or he won't do it if I don't tell him to do it. And then when they actually show up and do it, it's like threatening to their nervous system because they feel out of control. I want you to really sit with, where do you do this in your life, where you have a perception about something, and if the person shows you something else, it actually feels threatening to your body. And this takes a high level of consciousness to be able to admit this, because you're going to have to be wrong. And when we're wrong, we often have shame, and see shame there at the very bottom. We all want to avoid shame. And I believe when you avoid your shame, you avoid yourself, because we all experience shame because we have been taught in this world that it's not okay to be who we are. And so we have then, because of that, we've developed boxes to put ourselves in, constructs to put ourselves in that make us feel quote unquote safe. If I stay within this confine, I am safe. I won't be criticized. I won't be judged. I won't be rejected. I will be accepted. I will be fine. I am safe. And then we stay stuck, and we stay stuck in a survival paradigm, because if you look around the world, everyone's living in the survival paradigm. Like if I were to have a board that I'm going to draw on, you would envision like all these little people and then all this like clouds of bullshit around them, right? Like honking and yelling and anger and defensiveness and, keyboard warriors going off at each other in the comments. Like that is the survival paradigm. And just think about how many people are living that way. Now, if I were to draw on another board, think about everyone in their own sovereignty, whole and connected and understanding and able to have hard conversations, able to have conversations with people who don't agree with you, who do not think the same way as you. We are all allowed to think different things, to believe different things. It's actually how new ideas are birthed. But what happens is we become so rigidly defended against anything that's not what we think. And unfortunately, AI is making this worse, because everyone's in Chat GPT getting validated up the ass by their AI robot. And it's just a narcissistic mirror of like, yeah, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right. And so this robot is making you right. So you go out in the world and you converse with someone who thinks differently than you, and it feels so uncomfortable to your body that you just want to go converse with your AI robot. We are meant to have contrast. This is what creates new. This is what creates evolution. This is what births new ideas. When we can't hold that contrast, we are living in survival paradigm. We are grasping. We're filled with shame. We're filled with fear. We're filled with aggression. We're filled with like righteousness. It's not on here. And where would that fall? I'm not sure, but righteousness, right? Like I am right. And listen, I am a projector in human design. I am an Aquarius. I am right is like my tagline, but I also know when I'm not right. And I know how to get curious, and I know how to like hold space with people who have differing opinions from me without getting activated. And we can't create a spiritual paradigm, an expansive paradigm into abundance, if we don't know how to get out of the survival paradigm in our bodies. And so if you look at this chart, you have to get to neutrality, and then you can expand into acceptance, reason, love, joy, enlightenment. Those are expansive feelings. Those bottom ones are contracted feelings. And so when your nervous system is contracted, when there's trauma coded into it, and I have a whole masterclass called Coded that is 3 days that's going to guide you how to process that coded trauma from your nervous system so that you can expand and you can feel safe to just be, and you can feel safe to be you, and you can move out of these narratives and these ways of relating and these energetic vibrations. That's what it is, right? It's a frequency. These emotions are frequencies. And I'm not someone who believes that you're at enlightenment and you're never going to have shame. Having experiences of enlightenment and holding enlightenment are different concepts. You can have an experience of enlightenment. I did when I was 19 years old on the dance floor of a rave. I had an experience of enlightenment. I couldn't hold it. So, of course, all these other things exist, and we're human. We're meant to have a human experience. We're not meant to get to enlightenment and be like, oh, and now I am done. Because then you may as well die. Unless you want to go live in the Himalayas, which I made the choice a very long time ago that I was not meant to go live in the Himalayas. I was not meant to go live in a monastery. I am meant to be of the world. Which means here I am going through the fire over and over and over and over and over and over and over, getting my ass handed to me, my heart broken open, so that I can transform and I can help others transform as well. My whole want in Your OK Academy is that you heal, expand, spiritually transform, and master energetics. I am an energetic sorceress. I come in, I feel your frequency, I help you process your emotions. I'm seriously like a high priestess of this. I help you process your emotions so that you can actually live in an elevated state. So you can come home to yourself, you can connect back to yourself, you create that nervous system safety in your body. You feel safe to be with the feelings. You feel safe to be you. You actually start to uncover who you are beyond the layers of defenses, protectors, ways of being that you thought are normal. Anxiety is a state of being that is normalized in society and is not normal. And if you have anxiety, it's covering up something else. I recently, with 2 clients, realized it's covering up shame. So you start to shed all of those old ways and you become you. Your heart is open. You feel safe to trust yourself. You feel safe to listen to your innate wisdom, your downloads, your intuition, the like pure wisdom and embodiment of you. It's so beautiful to witness it happen. It's so beautiful. And it takes a lot of internal safety because your ego will want to defend. It will want to hold on to the perceptions. No, but they wronged me. So what? You're holding on to it and it's literally poisoning your body. It is creating sickness in your being. Mental, emotional, physical, spiritual sickness. We have to be willing to unravel the holding on. It really all comes back to non-attachment. It comes back to being able to move through each emotion, come to neutrality, detach, and then expand. And non-attachment doesn't mean you don't care. So many people think non-attachment means like you're disassociated or you're aloof or you're mysterious. That's not non-attachment. Non-attachment is I am immersed in each moment and then I allow it to shift. It is a flexibility. And you only can have that when you have flexibility in your nervous system. So your nervous system, when you're in ventral vagal, that is your connection, home, joy, and love. When you get activated, you go into fight or flight, and when you get too activated, you go into dorsal shutdown. You're meant to be able to flow through all the states with ease. When you get stuck and rigid in one of the states, especially in uh, one of the protective states like fight or flight or dorsal, it's because you don't have flexibility in your nervous system. And if you don't have flexibility in your nervous system, there's trauma that is keeping you in a state because that's where it thinks you're safest. That's where it thinks you're going to stay alive. And so in the work of Your OK Academy, we create safety in your nervous system. How do we do this? Chanting, humming, singing every day, meditating every day, yoga, somatic practices of all kinds. Most importantly, being held, seen, and attuned to by other people who are doing similar work because it's going to help your nervous system feel safe. We are connection-based creatures, which means we are attachment-based creatures. We're connection-based creatures. We need to feel safe with other humans. That is how we know it's safe to shift. Because once upon a time, if we were different than everyone, we would be killed. And so we have to find spaces where we feel safe to be seen as all of us, because that helps us feel safe to express who we are and to expand in our lives. And then once your nervous system feels safe that way, its co-regulation leads back to self-regulation. So you're attuned to, and then eventually you just feel safe to be you in the world. And again, I was raised off the grid. I have very little societal conditioning in that way. I've always felt safe to be me. When I went into the real world, I actually got a lot, I felt like it was extremely traumatizing and I started to shut down. And in the last 5 years or so, I've fully reclaimed who I am. And I can guide you back to that as well. That is what I do with my clients. And it will ask you to decondition. It will ask you to shift the way you're relating to the world in such silly ways as like, how irritated are you getting during when you're in traffic? How irritated are you getting at your partner? And it may seem silly, like it doesn't matter. It's not a big deal. It's a huge deal. Those micro moments create the macro. Often with my clients, I will pick up on an energetic frequency in a certain area of their lives, like the way they're driving, the way they talk to cashiers, the way they are in the grocery store. And through teasing it apart, we're able to get to a deeper unmet need within them to shift it so that they can come back to neutrality. And then they can start to open their hearts and trust in the flow of life, that they can stretch time, that they can move through the world with ease, that they are able to actually shift into a different energetic frequency. And if you really sit with your body, you can feel, am I wound tight? Am I frenetic? Am I contracted? Because then you're living in a survival paradigm. And to shift that, you want to, like I said, every day. Your nervous system is a system and it needs a new system. So whatever it knows as safety is habitual. So you have to create new habits. So somatic practices, like I said, meditation, breath work, dancing, like pick one and do it every day. And then a community that is going to help you expand. Because the unfortunate part about community is that sometimes communities get too attached and then everybody stays stuck. It has to be a space where you are free to actually be who you are and to be expansive. And then you're going to have to move through any jealousy that comes up, any comparison that comes up. Like, this is how we create a new world, is by feeling safe to become who we are, to move out of scarcity, out of survival, out of this survival paradigm and into connection, expansion, joy, abundance. Because it's all energy. Money is energy, love is energy, connection is energy. It's all energy. And whatever your energetic vibration is what you're calling in. And now it can get real shamey. And I call this toxic manifestation, where it's like, oh, I created this. Okay, if you created it, how is it happening for you? Because it's always happening for you. When you can actually look at how it's happening for you, and you can grow through that and you can expand through that, you can learn, because that's the spiritually transforming part. I am not the teacher who's just going to be like, here's how to manifest the thing. I'm not going to make it that formulaic, because we are raw and emotional and poetic and beautiful, and that is what makes us wonderful. We're imperfectly perfect as we are. And so you're going to be on a spiritual journey. You're going to have lessons and initiations and thresholds and crumbling moments, and you're going to have to move through hard things. And I want to show you how to move through them so you don't go back into contraction, into fear, into guilt, into anger, into clutching, but you feel safe to move through it, to evolve, to expand into joy, into love, into peace, into open heartedness, and to stand in the fire with your heart open. And that is true abundance. And that is what we do. So study this maps of consciousness. Look at where each state is showing up in your life. How often are you in survival paradigm? How often are you able to get a spiritual paradigm? And here is the sneakiest part. You will tell yourself, because your ego will want to say, oh, I'm in spiritual paradigm. You can tell me you don't all day. I used to do it all the time. I got it. I know. Again, projector in human design, Aquarius. I am a know-it-all asshole. I have had to really contend with my own ego. My ego deaths, that'll be a whole other video, have shattered my illusions and brought me back into myself in such a way of full reverence for sweet little Yarrow. Just her arrogance just was protecting her. And so I know all the ways that we think we know. Oh, I already know that. I will watch people complain about money, and then if I talk about, thinking more abundantly, what's happening in your body, moving through it, oh yeah, I've done that. I've done that energetic work. I've done that manifestation work. You were just complaining about money. This is how delusional we are. And so get honest with yourself. Really look at, where are you living in survival paradigm? What are your daily habits? What are your energy leaks? Are you gossiping, complaining, obsessing, ruminating, seeking validation? Are you swiping on the dating apps obsessively? Are you seeking attention all the time as an avoidance of yourself? What's actually happening for you? Get honest. Where are you disconnected from you, and where are you disconnected from abundance, from expansion, from feeling safe to receive, from feeling safe to connect, from feeling safe to actually create an abundant, expansive, connected life? Where do you not feel safe to be seen? And where are you making excuses around it? Where are you saying you know when you have more embodiment work to do? And if this is resonating, reach out. Yarrowkae on Instagram, YARROWKAE. I have beautiful offers that will help you land in a safe space to help you tease some of this apart, because we all need mirrors so that you can actually create a life that feels how you want it to feel. Thank you so much for joining. I'll see you in the next video.